This broadcast is brought to you by the Schulte household.
Sponsored by the Carnes family.
Good afternoon, folks.
And welcome to the show.
Today, we will be talking about the intriguing topic of voting.
Let's be honest, it's not all that exciting.
But it is important to fulfill your civic duty.
And it gives other people, like us, positions of authority.
For instance, let me introduce the King of Voting.
And let me introduce the Queen and Princess of Voting.
I have two crowns.
To be a voter, you have to have a certain type of behavior.
Like getting out big signs and yelling at people on the streets.
Yeah.
To start from the beginning, to be a voter, you have to have certain qualifications, like being 18 years old.
Being an American citizen. But that's only to vote in the United States.
Of course. You have to be registered to vote.
And once all these qualifications have been met,
You have the honor of voting. Such an honor.
it's beautiful. Ready? What species of a fish are the most Republican?
I don't know, Michaela. Why don't you tell us?
The ones that actually vote in elections.
Oh, goodness.
Knee slapper.
So funny, this one. Wow.
I know. This voting stuff sounds pretty great, right?
Yeah, I mean, it may have you wondering, why do some people not vote?
In Michigan 2008 general elections, 69.7 people voted.
So then what were the other 31.3% doing?
Being lazy and sitting on their couches.
Seriously though, why don't people vote?
Many factors play a part in the reason they don't vote.
Such as, citizens are not of age.
They just don't think that they'll vote will make a difference.
They could lack political efficiency.
Non-presidential elections just aren't as important to some people.
Whatever.
Uh,
To expand on these ideas.
if you aren't of age, then, you can't vote. That's an obvious one.
Pretty much, yeah. People assume that their candidate will just win without needing their vote. Like, really? Come on.
One vote will not make a difference, right?
Wrong! No! No! If you do not vote, you absolutely do not have the right to criticize your leaders.
So true. Political efficiency can be defined as one's own influence or effectiveness on politics.
So, the lack of political efficiency is the thought that they won't make a difference.
Which ties into our second idea.
Yes, it does. People don't care as much about their leaders as they do than the president.
The president isn't the only leader and big person out there.
Sociological factors play a big role in who people vote for.
College graduates are more likely to vote Republican.
African Americans are more likely to vote Democratic.
Personal factors also play a huge role, such as age,
Race,
income,
occupation,
education.
and religion.
People over 50 are more likely to vote Republican.
Protestants are more likely to vote Republican, and Catholics are more likely to vote Democratic.
People of the East are more likely to vote Democratic than the people on the West who are more likely to vote Republican.
People are more likely to vote if there is an issue that they really care about.
So true.
People are influenced by their surroundings.
Such as their family members,
Their friends.
their co-workers.
Psychological factors also play a big role in the voter's decision.
Such as their party identification,
Straight ticket voting,
split ticket voting,
and independents, or the independent voters.
Party identification is the loyalty a person has to a particular political party.
This is the single most significant and lasting predictor of who a person will vote for.
Straight ticket voting is the practice of voting for candidates of only one party in an election.
Split ticket voting is the practice of voting for candidates of more than one party in an election.
Independent voters are people who don't have a specific party affiliation.
The impression a candidate makes on the voters will have a very, very important impact on how they will vote.
Now, we have the opportunity to interview a newly registered voter.
Welcome, Keegan. So, how old are you?
I am 18. In Soviet Russia, where my grandparents grew up, they were not allowed to vote. Communist dictator was chosen for them. So they told me that when I am American citizen, I must vote and do my civic duty.
Oh, yes. And how does it feel to be a registered voter?
Quite good, actually. Before coming to the United States and eventually becoming an American citizen, I thought it was all Hollywood and movie stars and cowboys shooting each other from horses. But it turns out there's an entire political system here. I thought that, after you guys separated from the UK, you were just a bunch of hooligans. So now that I know that there's a political system, I'm so excited to fulfill my civic duty.
Yes.
Very ambitious you are.
Thank you.
Very, very ambitious.
And are there any certain factors that have been influencing you so far?
Well, I gotta admit, my mama was a real big influence. When you live down in Alabama, you don't really have any other influences because there's no television, there's no electricity or toilets that are in the house. So it was, my mama had a real effect on me because she would always tell me what to think, and then I would just kind of think it because she told me to.
Right.
But eventually I did learn to become my own person and think my own thoughts. Generally they're kind of the same as my mama's, but they are different sometimes.
Yes. Very, very touching story.
Wow. Yes. Very well said, too. Thank you so much for that influential story. Pulls on the heartstrings, really. Thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome. It was better than playing with my mariachi band. And that was what I would have been doing otherwise.
Oh, wow. Well, wow. Thank you for coming in then. Let's all give him a round of applause for me. Yes.
Well, that concludes today's show.
Everybody have a great rest of your day.
And take your future voting seriously.
Ta-ta now.
Goodbye.